Welcome back, this is Danberg SC. We're in another episode of 100 Losses or Hyakai Make, the series. Today we're starting a different group of those videos. This is for the Shikenbisya, as it says below, or 4th rank Rook. We're going to talk about what my plan is and what I did to learn from this mistake today. So my instructor always says you have to make 100 mistakes, you have to lose 100 games using a strategy against a strategy in order to really understand how it works. So that's what I'm going to do here today. I want to do this discussion in English to try to promote the global learning of shogi. There's a lot of stuff in Japanese, but not so much in English. And I kind of wanted to share my journey with you of my promotions. Right now I'm still just a HQ or an 8th class, not in the ranking system yet. We're still trying to do that, but coronavirus is making me going to tournaments very difficult, so it's harder to rein up. I'm going to speak a little bit slower this time. I'm going to take my time with this one. If it's boring, don't watch. I don't want to talk as fast or go over as much as I did in the last video. So we are going to begin with that. So today, my thought process I want to talk about today is if they're going to play Shikenbisya, which I'll talk about in a second, do I have a plan, and then what is my plan? Then I'm going to show you what, if my plan works perfectly and everything goes according to what I want to happen, this is what it should look like. Then we're going to look at my actual game and see what's the differences between what I want to happen and what actually happened in the game. We're going to try to figure out where my first bad move was or my first mistake was, and then we're going to try to learn from that and not make that happen again. So let's get into the game. So let's first talk about what is Shikenbisya, or 5th rank or 4th rank Rook. So we're just going to start getting into the game. This is what the game should look like in my dreams. This would be a perfect game for me to have happen. So this opener here, these first 3 moves are basically the first 3 moves I make if they're going to open this pawn first. If they open a different pawn first, then I do different things, but we'll talk about that in different videos. So if they open this pawn first against me, this is my first 3 moves. Then they're going to bring their Hisha over to the 4th rank, hence 4th rank Rook or Shikenbisya. So this is, at this point, I'm thinking to myself, okay, they're going to play Shikenbisya. Do I have an idea of what I want to do? The answer is yes. First thing I want to do is make my castle, then I want to do an attack. So this is what I'm thinking immediately. So which castle do I want to do against Shikenbisya? That's the Funigakue, or the boat castle. So Funigakui, sorry, or the boat castle. And after that, I wanted to do an attack called the Henachoko Kyusen, or the Henachoko quick attack. It's one of my favorite attacks to do against if they're doing Shikenbisya or Sankenbisya. If the Rook is in either of these 2 spaces, you can use it. It's from a YouTuber online called Sugar. If you look him up, all of his stuff is in Japanese, but he's very good at shogi, and this is a very fun attack to do. So I'm going to try to go over it today. But again, let's talk about, do I have a plan and what does my plan look like? So if they do this, again, I want to start castling first. Usually they'll start castling as well. I always try to push this pawn if they're going to start castling to try to pull this kaku forward, so I have kind of control over what's in this spot. If they bring up a silver or something in the spot, my attack is much more difficult to do, so we have to try to bring up this as fast as possible. We push this as soon as we can. Sorry. I finished my castle. They're still doing their castle. So now we get to here. So this is actually the end of my castle. This is called the Funigakui, or the boat castle. So it consists of 2 golds in this position, 1 silver here, and then the kaku over in this spot, with an open file attacking, threatening this line down here. This is the castle that I use if they're playing any sort of what's called well, not here. If they're playing sort of Furibisha, this is my castle. So we've got that set up. It looks like my opponent is still setting up their attack on this side and their defense over on this side. So I start my attack. So this is the first aggressive move of my attack, and I'll explain when it goes off. So they're going to finish their castle, bring this forward, came forward, and then this is where our castle's done. So he could bring this piece over here to finish castling. He could bring this piece up here. This is the more kind of aggressive style, because I'm being very aggressive over all these pawns. If you just push this over here and everything's in the back, it's actually very hard to deal with this attack. You can still do it, but it's a little bit difficult. So at this point, there are 2 main lines for my next move is the beginning of the Henachoko Kyusen. There's 2 lines that I'm going to talk about today. If they take the pawn or if they don't take the pawn. There are two different ways to do this attack, and I'm going to go over them now. So here's what my dream attack looks like. Here's what I want to see. Here's what the board looks like. So at this point, let's say he takes the pawn. If he takes the pawn, we then trade these two pieces. By taking the pawn, it opens up this gate, so we're together. I'm going to take this trade. Now the good thing about this trade is I want to try to push this pawn forward, and now the only thing he has to do in replace of this is to take this with the Kema. This also works if there's a silver here and they take with the silver. I'm not going to go over that line today, but it's almost exactly the same as the next line I'll show you about. So not a big issue if they take it with the Kema or this, but I'm going to show you the Kema line first. So Kema comes forward. Now what we do is we push the pawn because there's nothing defending this over here. We take, and they really can't do anything about this at this spot. They can't drop any pawns because we'll just get a promotion line. So this is like the best case scenario. This is the all-time best case scenario is if we get a situation like this. This is what I want to see happen. But let's see if he doesn't take the pawn. And this is a very similar to line if there's the silver here or if the silver is here. So this is a very, very similar line. So again, I'm going to push at this position, I'm going to push my pawn forward. Let's say at this position he continues to castle instead. He's just going to put his king over here to be safe so he doesn't have to deal with any of this going on here. It's still a safe move. Actually, the computer recommended this move rather than this move. So just to show you that this is a very common move that's going to happen. If that's the case, we just take regardless. If he takes with this, we can start pushing up this door here because there's nothing defending this spot anymore, and we can even take back if we need to. It's actually very good for us. But usually they'll take with the silver at this position. At this time, we have one pawn in our hand down here. So what we are going to do instead is we're going to push down this side. And this is the two pawns to pull this pawn forward, and then we're going to attack this Kaku here. If he runs here, we could just push up, and he has to kind of run back anyway, or sit here on this spot, which isn't very good. So we're going to assume he's going to make the better move and step back. We can drop a pawn here. And then in that next move, if it promotes, this is actually a big, big issue. The reason we don't want to drop the pawn here is because he can just step back. And then this is protected and we can't do anything about this line. We're trying to get this guy back over in this corner. So let's say we drop the pawn here. He starts his attack forward to try to come down and damage this move. We just take. If he takes the Hisha, we can jump the Kema forward here and promote. And he can't take this because we'll take back. He really can't run away because we're able to promote it this time. So what is he going to do? He's going to maybe jump his Kema forward, but we'll get this. And even at this time, what's cool is there is an opening here. If he has time, he can drop this guy down these two rows. This is a very dangerous part of this attack, is you have the ability to drop Kaku here and attack down these two rows, but we actually have tempo during this. So again, if we push this forward, we take, he takes, we take. If he drops down here now, we can just step back. So let's just do it. If he drops here now at this position, we could just step back. If he takes this corner, we can jump here, he steps away, and then we can still just take this. And we still haven't used ours, and we now have his. And this is a big situation. So at this point, I think the next best move is something like this. We're putting things down like that. But I mean, again, we can just kind of, I think, like that. This is a good move. Now we could just start attacking other things. I mean, we've got like the world is our oyster at this part. So this is what the attack should look like altogether. That's kind of the concept of the attack. So again, just really quickly, we want to have them. We kind of want to attack the 3-3 square here. Take this, push, promote, get this kind of an idea. This is what we want. So let's look at what happens in my actual game. We're going to go to this. So we're going to open up the lessons learned from what's going on. So this is my actual game I played against an opponent online. I was actually streaming during this time. And this was our opener. So again, almost exactly identical to what, not almost, exactly identical to what I showed you as our kind of perfect game. I pushed this pawn early, and he walked in as well, no problem. And now it's time to start castling. Both of us start castling. I get mine done. I push this pawn. So honestly, everything is so similar to the previous game. Everything is so similar to the previous game. He even brings the silver up here. I bring the Kema here. Here's the delta. This move here. So in the last game that I was showing you, before we started the attack, So here's my actual game. Here is the game I showed you. So in both of the games, his king is relatively in the same spot. There's a little bit of delta between the golds, but he's basically castle on this side. The biggest delta is this gold here. So this is my actual game. This is the game that's of my dreams. So we can see that the gold, instead of being on this side, he has shifted over here to protect this side. And I realized today that if there is a king, if there is a gold piece on 3-2, my attack is much more difficult to do. So let's continue on the game. This is the first delta I learned in this. So he takes, we take, he takes with the Kema, we push the pawn, he takes forward, and then he drops a pawn in front of us. So again, last time we were doing this, what I wanted to happen is takes with the Kema, just what happened here. I push the pawn, and now he can't do this, but now he can because he's got the gold. This gold protects it. So this is the reason that I was like, okay, well, we have to be careful with this part. So I just step back, and now he continues his castle. So now his castle looks almost identical to what our actual game looked like before. And this was my worst move. So this game right now is about even in the actual score. So the bar is saying I'm at basically 0-0. This brings it to -8 on my side this turn. And the reason is because now I've opened up this weakness that we talked about last time. This is now hanging, and this is now completely undefensible. So this was a very bad move. After this part, I played I played a move to try to defend. This came over here. He took the corner. I tried to drop, bring him out. I brought the Kama forward, tried to attack down this corner here. So that was the whole idea, is if I can bring the Kama forward, if he takes, I can attack down the corner. He just pushed the silver forward, and now I can't take anymore. I decided, all right, let's get some idea of what's going on. He's making great moves. I decided we're going to try to take the silver and kick this guy out. I take it instead, but he is hurting me deeply at this point. He's coming into here. We're trying to get more information out of it. Yeah, this is just at this point I've died at this point. He has 2 golds. This is the situation. So let's take it back to where I blundered my piece. So this move was a blunder. This was not the move to do. And what we've learned until now is if they have a king on 3-2, my standard attack is very difficult to do. But is it impossible? Let's talk about it. So the actual best move beside this, I found later, and then the computer confirmed it. The best move would be for me to drop right here. But this does a lot of things. This drop right here is continues to threaten this line, and it's also able to not. It allows me to continue this attack as well to try to keep over here. So there's a lot of going on with this, and it defends my corner, so he can't drop into this square as he did last time and just take the corner. But this is still a little bit weak. So at this point, the best move for my opponent would be for him to bring the Hisha back, and I will talk about that in a minute. So if I was to, from this point, take this Kama. So this is not the best line, but let's just say, so I drop here. Oh, no, sorry. I drop here. He steps back, which is the best move. I'm like, okay, let's continue to attack. If he takes, this is now defended, right? This is why this moving back was the best move on this position. Now everything is defended. I can't really promote here in this spot because the gold takes. So right now my idea would be, okay, this gold is the issue. Again, this gold is the biggest issue I have because it's defending this spot so I can't promote, and it's defending this spot so I can't promote, and now this is defending here so I can't take. So the next best move for me would be to do something like this, drop this pawn. If he does take, bam, I can go over to this corner, or if he does take, I can promote, or I can promote. Either one is fine. But if he does something easy like this, I'm just back in the same boat I was before. So again, this idea is, the next thing I learned is, okay, I found the best move here. If he drops the Hisha back, now this gold here defends both of these spots, and this Hisha defends this spot. So I can't do this attack anymore. The attack I'm trying to do doesn't work. So what we're going to do instead is, instead of jumping this piece forward, we're going to do, we're going to do this. We just need to castle. So the computer, I was looking at these lines, and the best thing next is just kind of castle. So he is obviously going to start pushing pieces forward. I'm going to try to show you how we can continue to maintain a standard game even after my attack is kind of fizzled out. What are we thinking about? So at this point, this is the castle I want to be making. He has the ability now to redrop down this line. I have to be very careful about this because you need to not let yourself be taken advantage of in this situation. So we're going to bring the pawn forward. We can't do something like bring the Kama forward, because if he just promotes down, this is under attack and everything is a mess. So we have to be very careful with this. We're going to let him promote this piece forward. We're going to take with the gold, and then if he drops this piece, we're going to just step to the side. At this point, his next best move would be to, or my opponent's next best move would be to bring the Kama forward. Now, the reason being is if they don't bring this Kama forward, I could do something like push this pawn, which blocks this road, and then I can take this for free. I can bring the gold up here and threaten all this stuff if he tries to bring the silver forward. Even if I trade the gold for the silver, I'm weakening this whole structure over here, and I can start attacking in. So the best move that they would do is now to jump the Kama forward. Now this is where the game gets back into my gear. So the next thing I learned is if they have this gold set up in this position where I can't attack back here with the Kama, we need to hope that his Kama jumps forward. We need to do something in order for him to bring the Kama forward. And when it does, that's when we strike. Let's look at the board now. So at this position of the board, we have, if he promotes this piece forward, if he promotes this piece down forward, we're able to kind of jump in between because we have this pawn up here. So let's continue forward. So he's going to be able to drop this pawn forward. The next best move for me to keep this even would be for me to step back. So he's not able to come and take this corner. He's not able to promote. He's not able to promote yet. So we're still kind of locking this door, and his door is open as well. So I'm defending my Hisha. He's defending his Hisha at the same time, but I have a threat under here. But he's also being threatened with this attack as well. So give him the silver. This is the move, is to give him the silver, because now we attack his weakness. There is only one piece defending this, which is this gold here. If he takes, if he takes with the gold, we can hit up here and promote, and he still can't take anything over here at this point. So we've lost the silver, but now we're about to take back a gold. So he, at this point, his best move would be to threaten the Hisha, and we can run it away. So it's still protecting this corner, which is its job at the moment, not to let this promote down here. This can promote down over to this corner here or to this corner here now, but it can't take anything. It can just promote over into this side. So that's exactly what it's going to do. It's going to promote there and try to play angles along this line, which is a very good move. But now we are going to start our attack. So you thought we should just take the gold, right? No, we don't want to just take the gold. That's the easy move. Take the gold, silver takes, and we promote back. We want to push the Hisha out a little bit more, and we want to be able to continue our attack next. So pawn first, then move, then take. Now we promote. Now we promote. And this is actually stock even. So right now it says I am minus 0.8, so not even 1% down. The reason it's higher on this side is because these are close to my king. His king is still relatively far away. But again, if we take this next, we're able to start attacking up here. And his Hisha is locked out of battle, so is mine. So we've paralyzed both of our points. We both have a promoted piece. They've got this on me. But if we look at pieces in hand, I've got gold Kama Fu, and he's just got silver Kama. So this is actually still relatively good for me. This is the best line that I have to try to remember based on this if they have the gold on that side. And that's kind of what we learned today. So again, oh geez, my weather forecast came up. Okay. So what we learned today, to go over it again really quick, if we start back from the beginning in this position here when we're starting the fight, this gold here makes it very difficult for us to do this attack, but it's not impossible still. We can still get a promotion if we're both playing the same best line. And then after this as well, when we drop Kaku here, if he doesn't do the best move of that back, we have the potential to get in here. We're going to be doing great things. After that, the best lines would be, to me, for the castle first, then deal with the threat I have over on my Hisha side, and kind of just wait for him to pull the Kama forward to continue attacking over here. As soon as that happens, if he does, we attack forward. If he never brings the Kama forward, I just basically I push this, I take this for free if he doesn't. So this is kind of, he needs to bring this forward in order to continue his attack. Then we start our fight. We block the corners, we protect our stuff, and then we promote as well. So a little bit more complicated video, maybe a little bit longer than my last video by a couple minutes, but I'm trying to speak a little bit slower. I'm trying to be a little more eloquent with how I'm talking about this, and I'm trying to learn a little bit more. Hopefully you got at least one thing to learn out of this. If you learned a new attack, great. If you have questions, put them in the comments, and I'll be happy to talk to you again soon. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.